What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 28th day of January in the year 2025. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The state of the sugar industry came into sharp focus in the National Assembly again this morning, as the Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa and Opposition Member of Parliament Vince Roy Jordan squared off over the collapse and management of the sugar industry, with Mustafa declaring that the failure of the industry started under the previous APNU-AFC government, despite sugar production being on the downward spiral since around 2006, when the PPP was in office. During the budget debates, Mr. Mustafa laid the blame for the poor-performing GuySuCo at the feet of the former APNU-AFC administration, which left office more than 4 years ago.
Mr. Speaker, the sugar industry started to collapse under the APNU-AFC. They discriminated against the sugar workers in this country. They took out spites against the sugar workers, and they want to punish the sugar workers in this country.
The agriculture minister said he still believes the sugar industry will be saved. He said the closure of the sugar estates by the former government was discriminatory, and he assured that sugar workers will continue to benefit once the PPP Civic is in government.
Mr. Speaker, what was the reason they closed the sugar factory? The reason they closed the sugar estate was because of political reason. They have a problem with sugar workers in this country. They think that sugar workers is supporting the PPP Civic, and they have to punish them. But I want them to know, as long the PPP Civic is in government, every single workers in this country will benefit, including the sugar workers.
But with the People's Progressive Party Civic back in office, sugar production is still low. GuySuCo recorded its worst sugar production ever last year, and Mr. Mustafa said it was due to poor performance. The industry has also complained about a labor shortage. The agriculture minister said he is optimistic that the 110-ton target set by GuySuCo for sugar production this year will be reached. For his part, Opposition Member of Parliament Vince Roy Jordan, who overlooks the agriculture sector, said the sugar industry problems are the result of poor decision-making by the PPP Civic government. He said the 2025 sugar production target set by the government is unrealistic and a clear plan to create a false impression, noting that it will continue to decline.
Mr. Speaker, this is not rocket science, sir. Mr. Speaker, under the PPPC government from 2020 to 2024, GuySuCo has failed to meet every target, Mr. Speaker, every target set by the Sugar Corporation, even when they significantly revised and reduced those targets. Mr. Speaker, I will hear shortly, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa will shout from the top of his voice as I go deeper. But Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister, like the Honorable Finance Minister, is a product of free under successive PNCR governments. But Mr. Speaker, it is not my fault for his inability to grasp much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this 115% in the target of 100 metric tons announced by the Minister for 2025 must be an election gimmick, sir, but sadly, not many Guyanese are prepared to buy this one.
Mr. Jordan said the government continues to boast of having a turnaround plan for the sugar industry. Yet 4 years later and billions spent on bringing in experts, the industry is showing no signs of any turnaround. He said while the issues of management wanted goes deeper, and he recalled that management has been blamed for GuySuCo's failure and problems since around 2008, and it's still being blamed today.
Mr. Speaker, let me make it clear again. No heads will roll This is the usual rail and rant, and no action will be taken. Sir, the only heads that must roll at this time are those of the incompetent PPPC government, starting with the incompetent Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa. After spending $40 billion, failed to produce one set target in 5 years, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he failed to turn around the industry. He failed to reopen the Skeldon and East Demerara estates. Mr. Speaker, they promised, Mr. Speaker, in their manifesto. Mr. Speaker, he failed to return GuySuCo to profitability according to the PPP's manifesto on page 13.
The sugar industry has been under decline for several years. Billions of dollars have been pumped into the industry over the past few years, even as production continues to fall. More news coming up in just a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. I can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just 4 walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Honey, what are you doing? Let's cash out. Let's cash out.
Shop $5,000 or more at any Massey stores for a chance to win a 2024 Nissan Qashqai Sense and $100,000 every 2 weeks with Massey Stores Christmas Jackpot Promotion.
In December 2019, Guyana embarked on a historic journey, producing oil offshore for the very first time with the Liza Destiny FPSO, delivering 120,000 barrels per day. Today, just 5 years later, the nation stands proud as the fastest growing economy in the world. With the addition of 2 more FPSOs, production has increased to approximately 650,000 barrels per day.
Guyana is on the verge of becoming a global destination for sports and culture. Through investments backed by the oil and gas sector, which exceed $3.7 billion Guyana dollars, Guyanese get access to infrastructure and skills training for various sporting activities. The synergy between the economic benefits of the oil operations offshore and support for national initiatives helps position Guyana more favorably on an international stage.
Welcome to Dinner Under the Stars. Indulge in a culinary feast prepared by our talented chefs, featuring locally sourced ingredients and exquisite flavors. Every bite will take you on a culinary journey, from unforgettable starters to delectable desserts. Relax to the soothing sounds of the stylistics and blue magic as the stars twinkle above, creating the perfect ambience for a romantic evening or memorable gathering. Join us for Dinner Under the Stars. Reserve your table today and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Let's tell you now that President Irfan Ali spoke on Monday with newly appointed U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And according to a statement from the U.S. State Department, the President and the Secretary of State spoke about the crisis of illegal immigration and agreed to address the issue jointly. The State Department said Secretary Rubio also affirmed the United States' steadfast support of Guyana's territorial integrity in the face of Nicolas Maduro and his cronies' bellicose actions. The U.S. has been a long-time supporter of Guyana in the border controversy with Venezuela. The U.S. government recently announced a $25 million reward for information leading to the arrest or conviction of the Venezuelan president. The bulletin was issued on the same day that Maduro was sworn in as president to serve another term, following his country's disputed elections, which the opposition maintains was won by them. Venezuela has been increasing its rhetoric against Guyana amid its ongoing claims of Guyana's Essequibo region. Just recently, the Venezuelan government announced plans to host elections for a governor of Guyana's Essequibo, which it regards as one of its states. Guyana has briefed the international community on that issue, and the Venezuelan government has been widely condemned repeatedly over its claims. On the issue of the U.S. government and illegal immigration, since the new Donald Trump administration took office a week ago, the U.S. president has been leading a crackdown on illegal immigration and undocumented migrants in the U.S. U.S. authorities have been carrying out raids in a number of cities across the U.S., and they've also been deporting undocumented migrants. In the New York area, which is home to thousands of Guyanese, many Guyanese influencers and some activists have taken to their social media pages to encourage their fellow countrymen not to provide information to the U.S. authorities about those undocumented migrants. Last week, Vice President Barrett Jagdeo made it clear that Guyana would have no choice but to accept deported Guyanese nationals from the U.S. The Guyana Elections Commission has sought to put to rest the question of the feasibility for the use of biometrics at the place of poll at this year's general and regional elections. In a statement this morning, the Elections Commission explained that while its Chief Election Officer Vishnu Prasad's feasibility study acknowledged the benefits of biometric fingerprint identification, there were several challenges highlighted. The study highlighted the need for a high level of security, as the biometrics are unique to each individual, making it difficult for fraudulent activities such as impersonation or multiple voting to occur, and that it offers a more accurate method of voter identification compared to traditional methods like ID cards or signatures, thereby reducing the chances of errors in the electoral process, among others. GECOM said too that the study highlighted several challenges, such as technical challenges, data security concerns, inclusivity issues, legal and ethical concerns, operational and infrastructural challenges, among others. The feasibility study also outlined cost implications, inadequate voter education, allegations of manipulation, resistance by political parties, and public trust as challenges. Notwithstanding the benefits and challenges of biometric technology, the Commission said it must be emphasized that within the context of Guyana, there is no legal provision, and therefore any such introduction at the place of poll would be unconstitutional, since it will impose additional conditions on a person's right to vote. GECOM said it was against that backdrop, and having considered the deliberations at the Commission, that the chairman decided that even if GECOM were to implement biometrics as a supplementary tool to identify persons, it will still require legislation. Such as a system would impose an additional requirement on voters and would therefore could be seen as unconstitutional. Last week, the GECOM chairperson, retired Justice Claudette Singh, ruled that the introduction of biometrics for this year's elections was not feasible because of time constraints, among other considerations. The parliamentary opposition APNU-AFC has rejected the decision of the chairman and said it believes that biometrics could be possible in time for the next elections due this year. In fact, the opposition leader Aubrey Norton has challenged the GECOM chairperson to publish the study and expert advice that guided her ruling on the use of biometrics not being feasible.
Welcome to Dinner Under the Stars. Indulge in a culinary feast prepared by our talented chefs, featuring locally sourced ingredients and exquisite flavors. Every bite will take you on a culinary journey, from unforgettable starters to delectable desserts. Relax to the soothing sounds of the stylistics and blue magic as the stars twinkle above, creating the perfect ambience for a romantic evening or memorable gathering. Join us for dinner under the stars. Reserve your table today and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Ready to up your game? Ready to up your game? Win big with over 60 epic prizes. A brand new PS5, Nintendo Switch, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Apple smartwatch, and the hottest earbuds from Apple and Samsung. Plus, we are giving away thousands in phone credit and a whole year supply of Buster or Turbo Energy drink. Here's how. Buy any Buster or Turbo Energy drink, find the code starting with BB and enter online or on WhatsApp. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram at Turbo_Caribbean or Buster Guyana for all the details. Don't just play. Up your game with Buster and Turbo Energy.
Opposition Member of Parliament German Figuera has challenged the government to readjust the national budget so that it can cater more for youth empowerment and youth development. Figuera, who also serves as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee and is a full-time high school teacher, told the Assembly that while the Ministry of Labour boasts of providing training opportunities for young people, those opportunities are not matched with job placements. He said the government's efforts to engage young people through the Youth Employment and Skills Training Program have been insufficient at best. He said the 350 youths trained under the program last year is extremely low when compared to the size of the youth population in Guyana. MP Figuera said to compound the situation, the administration has also failed to articulate a comprehensive strategy to engage young people in meaningful and sustainable employment.
But the sad reality is that Linden Enterprise Network, Mr. Speaker, with millions of dollars are unaccessible. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Not one of the youths you would have trained was able to access the resources so that they could utilize the skills that you would have given them to start their own businesses and employ themselves and their families and create the employment opportunities for others, Mr. Speaker.
The opposition member of parliament said the budget in general lacks fresh and innovative measures, adding that while there may be incremental adjustments and some cosmetic proposals, there is no bold vision to address the structural challenges facing the economy, the public sector, and social services.
Mr. Speaker, the policies in this budget do not reflect the nuanced understanding of the multifaceted issues the people face. Instead of symbolic gestures, we need a comprehensive policy that directly impacts the lives of our people, policies that focus on the delivery of quality health care, improved nutrition, job creation, food security, and poverty alleviation in a safe Guyana.
Figuera's arguments did not sit well with the Minister of Labour, Joe Hamilton, who said the arguments put forward by the opposition MP are hollow and shallow. From the onset, he told the House that the Linden Enterprise Network was mismanaged under the former government.
And he spoke about the LEND program, but failed to make the point that the LEND program was destroyed and became bankrupt because the PNC loaned money to themselves that they never replenished before.
Minister Hamilton said contrary to the arguments put forward by the opposition, the People's Progressive Party's civic administration trained more than 12,000 persons under the Board of Industrial Training Program since taking office, compared to the less than 8,000 persons trained under the APNU AFC administration. He said those persons are now better positioned to gain employment in a number of important sectors.
I can report to this National Assembly that in 4 years, under the People's Progressive Party Civic, we have trained 12,765. And y'all care about young people. Y'all care about young people. In 653 programs across the length and breadth of this country.
Another 4,000 persons, he added, will be trained under the BIT program in 2025, while the Ministry of Labour, in partnership with the G Mining Ventures company, will train approximately 1,200 persons. Pointing to the oil and gas sector, the Labour Minister said the APNU-AFC comes to the House to complain about the lack of training in the sector when it failed to train occupational safety and health officers during its time in office.
They trained not an occupation safety and health officer who can go out there and inspect an FPSO or a drill ship.
Not one.
Not one.
Not one. And Figueroa know
she talks about the woes.
And Figueroa know why he's sitting.
She talks about the woes of the workers. They didn't train not one labor officers who can go and do inspection on the FPSOs and drill ships. And they come here with their pretense. I can report to this National Assembly that presently, under the People's Progressive Party Civic, we have 9 officers that can visit those drill ships.
Tell them, Joe.
9.
And you want to know why you're sitting over there? And
5 OSH officers and 4 labor officers.
In 2024, the officers conducted 9 visits to the FPSOs, and it is their intention to conduct another 8 inspections this year. Minister Hamilton said the APNU-AFC must be honest about its track record in office. Turning our attention now to the tourism sector. Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce Anish Walran said the country's tourism sector raked in more than $13 billion last year, crediting its success to private sector investment. During her contribution to the budget debate on Monday, the tourism minister noted that due to the expansion of the sector, there has also been an increase in job creation, with the tourism and services sectors directly or indirectly employing more than 22,000 Guyanese.
For hotels, we have seen close to $35 billion of investment. Lodges have seen $21 million in investment. Resorts, $200 million. Local airlines, $600 million. Malls, $12 billion. With a total investment by the private sector of over $50 billion in the hospitality sector alone.
The tourism minister said the criticisms against the government's expressions of interest for internationally branded hotels are unjustified, noting the sharp increase in demand for hotel rooms. She said in 2023, occupancy in the business sector reached 83% and grew by a further 5% last year, with similar increases in smaller segments of the hospitality sector. She also noted the expansion of Guyana's room stock between 2020 and 2024, with the addition of 4 new hotels and 561 rooms, including facilities in regions 2, 6, 7, and 10. Opposition Member of Parliament Jorita Finance last week said the country's tourism sector was in tatters, and it was an expense for locals to participate in activities in their own country. But the tourism minister said the tourism sector has been contributing significantly to locals and the local economy.
Mr. Speaker, our coordinated and purposeful work has resulted in visitor arrivals setting an all-time record of 371,000 in the year 2024. This is more than 4 times the level of 82,000 recorded in 2020. It exceeds by over 16% last year's record-setting performance of 319,000. In total, visitor arrivals increased by more than 50,000 persons in 2024 as compared to 2023.
On the question of small businesses, the minister noted that there has been a sharp increase in small businesses across the country, which have been benefiting from government contracts. She said there were an additional 200 small businesses registered last year alone.
Many of these people are first-time contractors, and absent our deliberate policy of facilitation and community empowerment, they would not have had the opportunities that they do today.
And she also highlighted the global recognition that Guyana has received through numerous travel awards. The government intends to continue with major investments in the tourism sector this year. The Food for the Poor organization today announced that it is redirecting its focus with the hope of garnering local financial support as international support dwindles. At a press conference today, the Chief Executive Officer of Food for the Poor Guyana, Andrea Benjamin, said the needs of the country have evolved with the coming of the oil and gas sector and the growth of the economy. She said it is therefore important for the organization to adapt to the changes. It was explained that within its 34 years of existence, the organization has shifted its focus from immediate relief, which included the distribution of food, to development needs such as the construction of homes and community centers, and offering support to health, education, and agriculture.
Today, Food for the Poor Guyana Inc. understands that there is no longer a need for immediate relief. There is a need now to shift the focus of the organization from immediate relief more so to resilience. So this is the path that we took in 34 years. We went from relief to development. We're at a stage now where we are empowering through building capacity.
She said it is important for Food for the Poor to remain relevant in the country and to continue to make meaningful contributions by meeting the evolving needs of the people of Guyana. Attention is therefore being placed on capacity building and empowerment. However, Benjamin explained that in order to execute its mandate, it requires financial support, more so now from companies operating in Guyana, now that financial support from the international community has reduced significantly.
Food for the Poor in its 34 years, we have depended heavily on the support of overseas-based donors, not only for our operations, but also for our programs and projects. 99% prior to 2024 of our support came from US-based donors. As you know, and we all know, the country has changed. The economic status of the country has changed. So donors are not inclined to give as much as they used to Guyana.
The oil and gas sector, Benjamin pointed out, has more than 100 companies and can do well with fulfilling their corporate social responsibility by collaborating with Food for the Poor. She said Food for the Poor has a 34-year track record of supporting vulnerable communities and promoting development where it is needed the most.
Companies have their corporate social responsibility mandate, and we want to work with them to ensure that they can deliver their mandate and we can execute for them. Some persons may ask, why Food for the Poor? When a company has to choose an agency to execute their corporate social responsibility, why do Food for the Poor? One, we've been part of the development structure of the country for 34 years. And there's not a lot of agencies that can say this as it relates to their work here. We've touched lives, we've built communities, we've empowered families in all 10 administrative regions of this country.
Benjamin clarified that while Food for the Poor still offers relief to the poor and vulnerable, it is now more focused on empowerment and capacity building. She said the organization stands committed to the development of the people of Guyana and will continue to support the country's development.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guy Oil is at the forefront of this development. by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. I can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time. One deep breath. One leap of faith. One day to remember. Or one night to forget. One moment. So many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life. Just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
With your regional and international news tonight, I am Svetlana Marshall in the region. U.S. President Donald Trump forged ahead with military deportation flights on Monday, sending another plane load of migrants to Guatemala a day after coming to the brink of a trade war with Colombia when it refused to let C-17 aircraft land. 2 U.S. officials said the aircraft landed in Guatemala on Monday afternoon after a flight from Texas. A Guatemalan official told Reuters the military transport plane had 64 people on board. As U.S. and Colombia tensions simmer, Bogota announced on Monday it was sending Colombian Air Force planes to the United States to pick up migrants that Trump tried to deport. The move, which Colombia said was a win-win, cast doubt on White House assertions on Sunday that Bogota had relented to Trump's demands, agreeing to accept U.S. military deportation flights. As spiraling violence in Haiti puts healthcare out of reach for most, Haitian mothers are seeking care at hospitals in neighboring Dominican Republic, despite government policies there scaling up deportations. The 2 countries share the Caribbean island of Hispaniola, but are divided by a heavily secured border, long-standing tensions, and immense wealth gap. Children born to Haitian parents in the Dominican Republic do not receive citizenship. The UN found in October that less than a quarter of hospitals were operating around Haitian capital Port-au-Prince, while those elsewhere struggle to cope with flows of refugees fleeing gang violence. That assessment came before a spike in violence in late 2024 that saw gangs shoot and kill journalists gathered at Haiti's largest public hospital for a government press conference meant to announce long-awaited reopening. Those plans have been put on hold. The violence has forced the capital's airport and ports to repeatedly shut down, prompting hospitals to warn of a lack of supplies such as blood and oxygen. And finally tonight, international news. President Donald Trump's administration's order to pause all federal grants and loans starting on Tuesday triggered confusion in the U.S. health system, with Democratic lawmakers saying states were having trouble accessing Medicaid funds the massive program that provides care for low-income Americans. U.S. Senator Ron Wyden, the top Finance Committee Democrat, said his office had confirmed that the portal doctors used to secure payments from Medicaid had been deactivated in all 50 states. Medicaid, which covers about 70 million people, is jointly funded by both the states and the federal government, and each state runs their own program. The White House press secretary said she could not say whether the program had been frozen, telling reporters at her first briefing since Trump took office on January 20, and I quote, "I will get back to you." End of quote. The order was not limited to the $618 billion Medicaid program, also threatening to disrupt education, anti-poverty programs, housing assistance, disaster relief, and a host of other initiatives that depend on trillions of federal dollars. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall, wishing you a pleasant evening.